Hi, my name is Robert Wist, and I will be doing my thing on the Democratic Republic of the Congo. I will refer to it as the Congo throughout the video. So currently, there were 6 cases in northern Congo, making it the 11th appearance of Ebola virus in different regions that are non-interconnected, which is quite a horrifying thing for the region. This is due to the amount of the specific time we are in the world. Because of coronavirus and the lack of funding of the government to be able to provide testing for as many people as they would need to be able to test for, all of the data that we have to go off of is has a very high chance of being significantly less than the actual numbers they pertain to. Now, the reason the new outbreak may pose new threats as they haven't had enough time to isolate enough people that were involved with it to make sure that it won't spread at such an alarming rate as the previous one, the 10th outbreak. The 10th outbreak is closer to the eastern borders around Uganda and Rwanda and started August 1st of 2018. Now, in the area of which the two provinces, which names I will not attempt to pronounce because I just can't, in those areas, there were over 3,000 cases of Ebola virus, as well as 2,000 confirmed Ebola virus deaths. Now, again, as I said, due to the lack of an inefficient amount of the lack of inefficient funding, these numbers are most likely significantly less than what they actually are. And to add insult to injury, the areas at which are affected are very nearby to conflict zones in the Congo, which are displacing a lot of families. The conflict zones are mainly run by war criminals or political groups with agendas against their own government. And because they're taking violent action against their government and the surrounding people in hopes to further their agenda, it is forcing a lot of displacement of people from their homes and relocation. I believe in 2017, these conflicts relocated an estimate of around 2 million people, which again is also a most likely inadequate number because of the lack of actual data collected by the government due to their lack of economic means to have these giant surveys. And because of this relocation into Uganda and Rwanda and other areas, there are extremely high population dense places. And that makes these epidemics like coronavirus and specifically the Ebola virus a huge, huge risk to the public. It'll lead to a lot of lives lost. But because of the epidemics like coronavirus, a lot of countries like Uganda and that have set up checkpoints or patrols to block points to try to make sure that to reduce the amount of people going between countries. And between countries and people not following through the decision of going through these checkpoints, that leaves around 20 to 30,000 people that have been estimated by the World Health Organization that have been crossing over the border with either legal or illegal means. Now, this is horribly worrisome as that could spread the both viruses, a significant amount to different countries within Africa. And so as you get all of these highly dense areas with raging pathogens and war zones and conflict zones, it causes people to panic, people to flee, and base their entire lives on just trying to survive. Now, what's horrible is this instinct to survive is probably what's going to end up hurting a lot of people as they're going to be fleeing from their homes, their places of comfort, and moving in larger groups to try to flee the country and flee the border to try to get a better life. In doing so, they're going to be crossing through conflict zones, trying to evade pathogens that they can't even see. And it could be the littlest thing from a mosquito to reintroduce them a deadly disease. And even had worse for wear. The World Health Organization has had extremely difficult times trying to isolate both the north and the all sections of the country that the diseases have centralized themselves around, because of both the conflicts and the distrust in foreign entities. A lot of people are distrustful towards the World Health Organization and their own government because of past encounters, as well as the experiences they've had throughout their life dealing with war leaders, war people, just conflict, political groups. And so this distrust is also not helping the isolation and the prospective stopping of these diseases. And I believe it would be much harder for, say, in little old Lethbridge, Alberta, if we were trying to isolate with people breaking down our doors and shooting at us with guns. I wouldn't doubt that a lot of us would leave too. And so stopping the mass spread in Africa will be an extremely difficult case because of all of the relocating people, as well as the lack of funding and basically every other thing I've mentioned previously to this list. Now, this has higher implications on the world as people go through between country to country trying to find and seek out better lives or doing this. They're also infecting the people that they meet in that country. They're moving on and increasing the spread of these viruses. And even though you can be vaccinated, this distrust between the people and their governments are causing even worse risk, makes it worse for the people because they will have extreme difficulty finding ways to get better, increase their own health, and cause just thousands of people to die because their countries had hurt them in the past or hadn't helped them through difficult events. And as the rest of the world, seeing as how many countries have kicked out any people visiting, any form of tourists in their borders, as well as requested all the return home of all leaving country peoples. This is making peaceful migration, or not migration, the peaceful evacuation or refugeeing people to have many legal means of doing so. And so many are taking illegal means, which are more dangerous and they take longer to do, with lower access to food and water due to the fact they'll be trying to swim in oceans to try to get around in some place in Africa. But again, Congo is landlocked, so I would mean swim through rivers that are not in the best condition, so to speak, I can't say that word, that aren't very sanitized and cleared for that kind of use. Provingly so, and I believe a case study in 2012 showed that cholera was a huge issue in that region in the Congo. And so because of all of this frequent evasion from conflict, evasion from the government, and that we might start seeing other implications of different health issues, like cholera. We could see the return of cholera due to the mass amount of population trying to go between country to country through the rivers and lakes. We could see a return of a giant influx of the measles because of the spread. And even though, again, there's vaccinations, but with a lack of trust in their government as well as the World Health Organization, we will see a drastic impact in Africa, as well as especially in the area of the Congo, because of all of these events. And yes, the world implications will be very devastating to a lot of regions and a lot of people. Now, my opinion as for course of action would be to insist on countries on countries all over the world who aren't currently involved with extreme debt or extreme economy loss, which is pretty much everybody, but everyone's experiencing extreme debt and economy loss. But those countries who are trying to pull through a little more than others, for example, Canada is being hit hard, but not as hard as other countries. People like our country should be spending a significant amount of money and giving a lot more resources for the World Health Organization. And as much as our national identity is, and as how much we want to keep everyone within our own nation safe, we have to also look towards others and making sure they also get safe. Because honestly, it's just the right thing to do. I don't really have much of a political argument as much as people will die if we don't. People will die if we do, but hopefully less. I believe every possible resource we can have to help these countries who can't survive without our help, any help that we can give to ourselves as well as others, that we should try to balance that out more successfully. Thank you. My name is Robert Wist, and this was my Social 29 project.